It's time for Wrestling for the Culture, where we take a look inside to see what the wrestlers of color have been doing this week. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this edition of Wrestling for the Culture. I'm your host, Brian H. Waters. This is a special edition. You may have known that I have worked hard for the past 5 years with a good friend of mine by the name of Blake Thomas, producing a docuseries dedicated to hard work. Well, guess what? We got some friends in the building, folks. So before we go, I'm gonna go ahead and bring on Blake, and he's been on the show quite a few times, so he's going to introduce all his friends. Blake, take it away.
Hello, world, and welcome to Wrestling with the Culture. No, how you doing, everybody? I'm Blake T, also known as Blizz, and joining me for this beautiful roundtable, we have the amazing that I haven't seen in so long, Sassy Stephie. We have the amazing, as I haven't seen in person in so long, Nico Sozio. And
what's happening?
We have Yolanda. No, we also have the amazing Yolanda the Designer to join us for these very special episodes. And sorry for cutting everybody off for their hellos.
Yolanda, he's just mad because we stood there next to him at WrestleMania 33, the WrestleMania that never happened because everything was scratched from the show, and booed him to let him know that Baron Corbin sucked.
That's right. And if he had won, we'd have thrown him down the step.
You would have. But so let's get right into it. Episode 1, the docuseries. You know what? We're gonna run a clip from that real quick before we get into this discussion. So if you haven't done so, if you haven't done your homework, here's a piece of it. And as soon as you finish this, get over there and watch it.
Me coming in, not just as a fan, but a student of the game, I always listen. So I'm listening and I'm reading what the fans like, what they didn't like. And I'm always reviewing a lot of different things. And what can we have made different? What if we do this month? And what if we do that month? So when it was time for me to step up and we make a booking team and everything comes together, I felt like I had what it takes to take this to the levels that we've all wanted. And as a team, we did that together. At the time that we had RCW, we got to do and accomplish a lot of things that you don't really see. And we did it in a good amount of time. I mean, it was such a great run, and it helped me prepare for the next several years of my life backstage in wrestling. And I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Blake.
Yes, sir. Tidbit about that clip. Nico Sozio himself.
Oh, good.
Sozio was the guy in the mask that got leg dropped. No, it really wasn't him, but
I was gonna say I don't remember that. I was gonna say if you remember that and I don't, that's a problem.
No. Now you may or may not have played a masked character in RCW.
I was gonna say we'll definitely bring that up if we're gonna be sharing RCW memories. I have a few, but we'll get there, I'm sure.
Yeah, those days, the early days, Sozio is one of the guys that he was there from the beginning of the RCW. He was actually there for both eras, from the original owner to take over to the second owner. Sozio, he was one of the first people I met in wrestling as well. So we've had a very long friendship, and he's one of the guys that got to see all the eras, whether it's RCW, talked during ROH, whether it's WSU, CZW, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So,
which is a nice way of saying I'm a really old person, is what he's trying to say.
Yeah. You know, he's been around
all the eras. I've just been through all the time. Yeah, man.
You know,
it was great, man. It was definitely great to see that company go from the old management, which, you know, at the time I would say was a little bit sloppier, to certainly a much more structured, well-designed, formatted product, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of memories. A lot of memories. It's weird seeing that Du Burns Arena, seeing Adam Flash drop that leg drop.
Pretty leg drop. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the best ones. But yeah, it was a lot of memories. That's where I met Yolanda there too, but it was in a different role. It wasn't what we had become. And then when we get later into this episode, especially talking to her and Stephie, but this was like the first interaction with Yolanda, but not the like first real interaction with Yolanda. This, as much as it pains my heart to say, this was me being the fan of Yolanda. Like, oh, this is that girl that makes all those cool shirts. Oh, we gotta meet
let me
her
marinate
because
that.
yeah, look at those shirts, and one of the shirts that was so impressive to me and Valance was the Midwest Militia shirt. And that was one that Stephie was featured on. So it's crazy how this all connects right now because all of that just came up within the 2 minutes he was thinking about it.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
When you sit back, when you go back to episode 1, we talked a lot about RCW and ROH, but we're gonna still go RCW for now. When you look back, what was I do another podcast called Breaking Through the Glass Ceiling. For you, what was the breaking through the glass ceiling moment when you realized that this business is for me and I'm pretty damn good at what I do? And also, Jeff and Yolanda, when y'all met him, I mean, more so probably Jeff in this situation, when did you notice that he had broke through a glass ceiling?
I just to clarify, the first part of your question, do you mean in RCW or just for me personally in wrestling?
No, for when you noticed Blake had broke through a glass ceiling in RCW.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize you were okay. I think for me it was like probably Blake. Whenever that first show was that you had kind of asked everybody to show up a little bit more formal, and like it for me it was kind of like when you like really took the reins of the locker room and like you really grasped the leadership role and really changed the tone in the place. You know what I mean? So I think for you personally, it was sort of a professional milestone, taking on that role at that time. I mean, that's just me.
Yeah. I think for me too, because around that time is when the confidence really started to happen. Like it felt like people were believing in it a little bit more to want me to step up in that role. But for me, the glass ceiling moment was when we had one show and we decided to do the main event of the Briscoe brothers versus the Osirian Portal. And this was first time ever anywhere, and it was two big teams in the independents. And it was just like, all right, we're doing this match, but we got to think of an ending. And when it was the moment of, well, Blake, do you have an ending? And that trust came there. And I was like, look, this is what we're going to do. We'll have it. So, we have them on about to do the Tower of Doom, and this is how we're going to do it. Boom, boom, boom. And I put the whole ending together. And when you book something and you come up with an idea and you see it happen and it happens exactly how you imagined it, and the outcome is more than what you expected, and you realize you just did something really special that people are going to remember. To me, that was the breakout, like glass ceiling moment of like, oh man, I might be really good at this. Like this is something I want to do when it comes to those backstage roles. Like photography is great and everything, but I think I might got something with this.
Yeah, absolutely. Fun fact, I remember when we first met, you brought that up during that long car ride there of Arundel Mills, and I don't think you have ever you ever liked the Arundel Mills since then. It's before that show that Jeff just mentioned that what was the name of it? I forgot that fast when the Rainer came.
Oh, the dual show. Which one was that? I don't know. I'm not near the DVDs.
October 2012.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it was the introduction to our partnership with Raina.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, and I think too, like when you looked around that locker room and you saw the type of talent you were booking, the names, so on and so forth, like the fact that you were able to get these people and for probably relatively cheaper than maybe their asking price says a lot about you and their willingness to work for you, you know.
Yeah.
And like you said, the stuff that you were putting together was solid, you know, and it was working.
Yeah, and I think also too, for this is for Stephie and Yolanda. I also think that Jeff is calling it solid as well because Tidbit, he was undefeated in RCW, you know,
For a long
so
time, for a long
yeah,
time,
for a very long time, and it kind of went under the radar, and it was one of those things where I was like, wait a minute, whoa, time out. We know we're booking him; he's undefeated, right? You know, so. Yeah, I think that had a little bit to do with it. But it was funny. That wasn't by design. It was just like, I mean, no offense, he was kicking ass, you know, and
Thanks.
we, you know, and I thought that, you know, we had one thing about RCW that I wish circumstances were different and we could have really saw the blossom of it, not to like kill the tone, but I thought that we had special with the Dastardly Bastards. And that was Jeff and the late JT Roberts. We thought putting those guys together, everything, me and Jeff and JT, and even when Kim was involved, everything that we had planned for that, I mean, I thought we had something extremely special. And I thought this was going to be like huge in the Indies. I thought this was going to be it, you know. I really wish we could have saw that play out.
Sure, yeah, and I mean, you kind of put JT and I together. I mean, somewhat on a whim. I mean, you had the idea, and we were both like, "Yeah, let's do that. That makes sense. Let's try it." And then we had that first match, and boy, did it! You know, it's hard to explain when you've never worked with somebody, and then like you guys are in sync. You know what I mean? Like your steps are the same, and we just really gelled well together as a tag team. And like you said, it's a real shame that things went the way they did, and we are where we are. But yeah, nah, we were really, again, to use the word solid, but you know.
I got a question for Stephie. When you watched the documentary and you saw this chapter, what was one of the things that stood out that you didn't know about Blake when you saw the first episode?
Well, I mean, for me, it's always been the same with Blake. It's always hard work and dedication to everything he's done. So it wasn't really anything new. It's just like learning his path through it all, which developed into the person that I knew when I was working at WSU with him. Because before WSU, I didn't have any interaction. I never met him. I only knew he took amazing photos from other girls who were selling their 8x10s at that time, you know? So knowing his path coming into WSU, it just showed where more of that hard work, that ethic that he has, that like I've never seen from anybody else that's doing not just one, but like 30 different jobs at one time.
Okay. Yolanda, was there anything that you noticed that you didn't know? And obviously, you know, you and Blake pretty much talk every day or every other day. But was there anything in the first episode that stood out that made you like, oh, wow, I didn't know that. Or I didn't know you went through that?
I wish I could point something out.
Or something somebody said that shocked you.
Oh. Don't try to jog my memory. It might not work. But I'll say something that I didn't know in general, because like his RCW, the era of RCW Blake, I wasn't privy to as much as Jeff, right? Like, if anything, I've heard about how awesome Blake was and what he's done, but I didn't fully understand. I don't want to say understand it, but didn't know the details of it until we would talk about our journey that led us to where we are. So if anything, it was how good he was at booking, because when I was told about Blake, or introduced to Blake, it was more on the photography, because when I tried to go to RCW, it was horrible. The bus was I'm trying to be nice. Trying to use some nice words on here, but it was trash. And so when I got to the show, it was like towards the end of the show. So I really couldn't even experience and see all the coolness that I've heard about. Like from what I could remember, RCW was it was ambiance before there was ambiance.
Mm-hmm.
It does, if that makes sense. Like it was so many people at the Du Burns Arena. That was huge for me because all I saw was small crowds. And then after that, it was a place everybody go to unwind. That was pretty cool. So I really enjoyed how they took something that was for everybody and family friendly, but also with great matches based on what I saw through tapes. So if anything, what was, I don't want to say shocking, but was new to me at some point was how involved Blake truly was and how quick he had to adapt to be so involved with storyline and getting the book and all that good stuff.
Yeah. I know for me, that was the time. So that was where I went from like fan to working in the business. And Blake and I actually had met in person at ROH show. And the car rides is always one of those things. And which now I think about it, I was like, man, we didn't include the car ride in the doc. But
yeah,
that's where our friendship began. And I remember I always bring the story up. I got this movie right here, Batman. And his first day was like, you see that new Batman movie? And I was like, no. And then he kind of looked like, this dude don't watch. I'm not a big comic book person at all. And then we just started talking women's wrestling. And then next thing you know, we just clicked. And so, that definitely for me, and obviously putting this all together, took me back down memory lane. And, of course, the what if conversations happen and come up. Like, what if we could have seen, different things happen? What if Yolanda could have been more involved? If we could have eventually created what we would do later at WSU, what if we could have created that right here in Baltimore? Before we jump into WSU, we got to mention the ROH. Blake, can you just talk about that transition and just a lot of stuff that you really learned, and most importantly, what the documentary, some of the memories it brought back?
It was such like kind of a weird transition, just for the simple fact of it was like some people looked at it like, okay, ROH is coming into our home because ROH was running out of the Du Burns Arena, where I never really looked at it like that. I looked at it like, hey, we're the independents. They just got a TV deal. Yes, it's the same building, but it's going to be a whole different look. So it's basically like you can get still a little bit gritty and grimy, that feeling with us, but then, the more presentable for TV, which, I mean, we wanted at RCW too, but, it's different budgets, So for me, it got kind of weird, but I knew when I was going into ROH, it wasn't in the booking and agenting and all that. It was strictly for photography. But the good part about that was, just like it was said in the documentary, a lot of those guys, they worked at RCW, whether it was the Briscoes, whether it was Rhett Titus, whether it was Delirious, Sarah Del Rey, a lot of them worked there. But there was so many cool memories at ROH because, I looked at it and they openly, would like be in the back, be in a locker room. Hey, we want you to see how this is produced, and if I had any questions for anybody, whether, it was, even if it was like a Jim Cornette, whoever was back there, whether it was Jay Lethal, whether it was Jay Briscoe, they're like, okay, so this is how you put it together. This is why we're doing this during commercial breaks. This is that. And even for the 2 years or so that it was, you get to gather up so much knowledge that it was beautiful. To me, it felt like an advantage to go into whatever the next chapter to be, and now knowing the structures of a TV and everything else. So there's a lot of good memories. And even really featured on the documentary. Like I said, one of the things that stays big to my heart was the whole thing with Maria Kanellis, because like everybody knew I was big into women's wrestling. One of my closest friends, Mia Yim, was there, and like her and Del Rey, they had just had a TV match, but when you was with Maria, seeing how much she wanted Women of Honor, she pushed for Women of Honor more than anybody back there. And the plans that she had, like, to just make it, like, she was so big about it. So that, and just seeing a lot of things, whether it was a young Adam Cole or seeing how cool like Kevin Steen, who's now Kevin Owens, was, like, it's just stuff that you shouldn't really be able to have so young in your career, that I felt like I got to have. And I took it as a blessing. I was very humbled. And guess what? I took all that knowledge with me everywhere I went.
Well, why would you say you shouldn't be able to have it? If you work hard, right, and you listen, why shouldn't you have it? Especially when you don't take it for granted.
Yeah, well, and that's true too. I don't take anything for granted. If they were like, sell these popsicles during an intermission, I'm gonna be like, all right, cool. I'm gonna learn which one's the most popular flavor. So, but yeah.
Now, Blake,
it was awesome.
You gonna sell popsicles?
Look. If somebody puts me to sell popsicles, I'm gonna be the top selling popsicle dude.
Sozio's looking like, okay.
Bro, I'll sell red popsicles to a lady in white gloves. Get out of here, dude.
No, but you was looking like you agree with me, like you knew Blake wouldn't.
No, I'm saying he will, and so could I.
I hear y'all.
Brian, I'm with you. I have my mic on mute, so I don't say reckless things. Back on mute.
But let's talk WSU. The thing is, so when Blake was at WSU, obviously the photography, I always looked at this for him, and this is just somebody who's close to him. I always looked at photography, gets him in the door, but the mind for the business is what kind of keeps him there and allows him to trend upward. There was a moment we was there, WSU, and after winning the champion, after Kiera Hogan won the championship, he had let her know why this was important. I'm going to play the clip because, one, I had to rush to the camera and make sure I got it, but it was important because you see the faith that he has in the talent that he's producing.
Are you going to sell merch?
Yes.
I mean, sell stuff?
Yeah.
All right. I just want to tell you, we're proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm very happy for you. There was a reason why I did this. I did this because there's so much potential in you. I don't think a lot of people get to see it. And if I can give you that chance to go on that platform and show what you doing what you do, I'm gonna give you that. So you deserve this. Honor it. Be that person.
Thank you. Don't make me cry.
Go sell your merch. Come back in here whenever you can. We'll do some pictures.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you.
Now, anytime.
Yolanda's right there, so I gotta ask her before Blake said anything. What was your thoughts? Because if you remember, can you go back to whatever your thoughts was? Because the Yolanda I know is probably had a joke in her head, and right now I can't remember like what you said afterwards. I think we was all in such work mode. But what was your thoughts now, especially when you look at this again?
Well, my first thought was, woo, who that good looking in that hat?
Oh my God.
Oh my Lord.
That sure is a fabulous hat.
That hat, that blue hair, that red lip. So, I just remember, for real, how proud we all were. And I knew how proud Blake was of Kiera, period, especially after she won. It was such a good match. And her being new to, I hate saying this sentence sounds gross, but new to the business. But it's true. A lot of people don't put faith into somebody who is new. But Blake saw her potential and knew it was the right thing to put her in that position. And basically what we just saw was the genuine reaction of Blake. And all I could do was be happy, but also do my best to get out the way. Because regardless of the camera was on or not, I knew that was a moment between them two. That was well deserved for her to hear.
Blake?
Yeah, man. I mean, that moment was special because that was like not a lot of people really knew Kiera, and this was like Stephie will tell you, Jeff will tell you, Yolanda will tell you, if you work hard, I'll take a chance on you. Because I look at it and just go, what's the worst that can happen? You can do bad. I'm like, oh, okay. It is what it is.
Real quick, I'm sorry to interrupt you there before I lose this question. What is and I kind of know this answer, but I want the world to know. What's that feeling like when you essentially give somebody an opportunity that wasn't given an opportunity, or that the world doesn't see? What's that moment like for you inside?
It's a moment. Basically, it's like a moment of hope, because well, for me, what goes through my mind when that happens is, okay, if I did this and this person continues to grow, maybe now other people will finally get to see what this person can deliver. Because it's wrestling. You can't expect somebody, especially in the independents, you can't expect somebody's going to be under your nest for the next 5 years. They're going to go other places, and you want them to succeed everywhere. When you have that mentality of like, oh, what do you mean you're going here and you can't come here? When you got that mentality, you're not really letting them basically fly their wings out of the coop. So especially when it's somebody where you just got that feeling, where you just got that feeling about them, and then they do good at it, it's a feeling I can't really explain it, but it's just something where you're just so excited for what's next for them, and like I said, at that moment with Kiera, oh man, like there was so many big plans, and that's like a whole nother episode itself. If people really knew what was planned for WSU, it would have got crazy.
Can you give a 30-second version before we go to Stephie?
So that was around almost the end of the year. So after that, she wrestled Lana Austin. That was her first title defense. She won that. But the Reckoning was on a roll. The Reckoning was on a roll. We get the Kings and Queens, Su Yung and Blackwater win Kings and Queens. So that set up Su Yung to get a title shot against Mercedes Martinez. So it was built for Mercedes Martinez versus Su Yung. And Su Yung was going to win the WSU World Championship, leading to the Reckoning starting to collect all the gold. And then the chase was going to be on, led by certain people, such as like a Kiera Hogan, and such as other people that have crossed their paths, and such as new people and people that we had wanted to return. Like at one point, and Stephie, I don't even know if you know this story. At one point, when Fellow Twins was our tag champs, I had pitched for the return of the Midwest Militia.
Oh, I
wanted it.
I would have ate that up like candy.
Yes, and we wanted that. And you know me, I was like, if there's any personal feelings with something, trust me, it ain't going to happen. I'll make sure everybody talks everything out, yada, yada, yada. But, owner had other plans, is what it is. But I wanted to pitch Midwest Militia back just in case I had a backup if we needed a strong, could be this tweener going into babyface role to also be there to have people like Kiera or Leva or whoever's back to go against the Reckoning. And I was like, if you were going to do War Games, we got to remember who was there first. So y'all were there first. They were there second. I was like, it only makes sense for that clash to happen by the end of the next year. But things happen, couldn't happen, but it would have been an amazing story.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Steph, can you talk about the first time you met Blake?
Well, I know it was at WSU. I can't remember the exact first time because obviously he has his hands into a lot of different things. And I was also, planning matches, got to take pictures, got to shoot promos, got to do this, got to do that. So I don't remember the exact moment, but I knew Blake and I, like, we hit it off immediately. Him and I, like, he would give me an idea and I would run with it. But then I'm like, Blake, is this okay? Because not a lot of people like push you like he does. And he doesn't even do it like, hey, you got to do this. It's like, yeah, okay, that's you. Go for it. Do what you think is going to be what gets you to the next step. So he's not like, you know, difficult to work with. He's super easy and just pushes you past your natural boundaries just to make you even better.
That's awesome. Yolanda, is this where your you and Blake's relationship got really close? You just talk about you know, some of the things that you watching the documentary notice, and even feel free to say some of the things that you felt was left out or you would have liked to see.
Oh, left out or would I like to see? Oh man. Sorry. Okay, so no, because I have to say nice things.
No,
So-
you don't.
yes,
I could throw the censor on the you know, the explicit.
oh, you should do that just for fun.
No,
Well,
not the bar. I'm talking about I can put it on the
oh,
parental advisor.
both would have been great.
You trying to make me work harder.
No. I'll write it on a piece of paper and just hold it up. Okay. So I mean, okay. So from what I did get to see, I don't know. I guess if anything, so it's hard for me to answer this because I do feel like you guys are it's taking a good deep dive into what people don't know about Blake, because I think photography, for the most part, everybody knows, right? But even in the part where he talks first, it explains how he operates or when he's trying to help somebody. Like those jewels are pretty dope. I guess if anything, I don't know. I think I'm past it. I'm past the documentary, and I know that sounds kind of weird, but it's like, yo, I just need people to watch this and throw money at Blake. That is that. As I'm going to be real, that is where I'm at. I don't think we're at the second part, but you know, I say great things, and as much as I like to joke to Blake that I wish I could take him back because that's just our relationship. They're true. They're true. And he is a genius, and he has such a natural gift of understanding women's wrestling in general, but specifically women's wrestling. And how he, I know at one point in this documentary, I think it was Great Excellent that was saying how he writes promos, he writes storylines, there's so much stuff. Like, what else could you could possibly say except give him the bag? You know what I mean? So, I must admit that's where I'm at with it. It's not what's left out. It's, I want him to get his flowers, and I'm impatient with it. That's where I'm at.
I do like roses.
I ain't give you no roses. Turn off the light.
Preferably white roses.
Nah, that ain't gonna be blue.
I do want to say this because as you were talking about stuff that was left out. One thing that I wish, and it's funny, we had the footage, but after our departure from WSU, Brian and I kind of went on a tirade and got rid of a lot of stuff. But
screw DJ. I'll say it.
I do wish
nice
that. Well, and Jeff's in here, so you know. But I wish that we still had the footage when we filmed the whole promo between the Reckoning and Leva and the bail spin and all of them, like how we put all of that together in the room. I wish we had those footage still of like putting it together, and even some of those locker room meetings. And everybody here, even Jeff, because Jeff was back there a lot too, because it's CZW, WSU. Everybody here, they've had some kind of conversation with me when it's putting stuff together or about wrestling or just backstage stuff. And like, even with Stephie, like I would have conversations with her and it would be like, look, I just want to get you back. You know, like I want to work this out. This is the idea. Da, 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 da. And then with Jeff, it's like, all right, Jeff, like this is what we got to do at WSU. And by the way, let's talk about what they got you doing at CZW. You know, so
Right.
there's a lot of things that, you know, I don't want to say, I don't know. I've seen a lot of people be with that company and under that owner that do far less, and they don't put the company over. They put themselves over, get something big for them, screw the company, and then all of a sudden they're never heard from. Well, you never hear them talk about the company again, and then all of a sudden, you know, big things happen for them. And it's like, could I have every picture for WSU or CZW? Could I put my logo on it? Yeah, I could have. But, you know, it gets you in those moments of like, that's just not how I'm brought up. I'm here so we all win. I'm not going to selfishly use this to put myself over. And it kind of sucks that sometimes in wrestling, you get looked down at for doing what you thought was the right thing. But if you do those type of things, all of a sudden, as Yolanda says, you get the bag. Now, that's not everywhere, but it sucks when you've seen that happen so many times, especially under what was under that company. Well, when I say company, I mean the whole thing. I don't mean just WSU. Everything that was under the person that owned it, I should say.
Yeah.
I actually remember two things. One, and forgive me if I'm wrong with this. It would have been nice, and this is selfish, but on my end, these two things I just thought of. One, the positive room was such a vibe, and made me that had no place for the documentary. But I'll speak on it here, unless I probably should have waited another roundtable. But the photography room wasn't just a place you took pictures. It was literally a vibe, a positive room to escape whatever BS that was going on that you had to deal with outside those walls, outside that room. If it was something that was going on, whether it had to do with that specific job or your real life or whatever, you came in that room and it was laughing jokes. That's it. If it was about that BS, leave that out there. You see that? You leave that out there. So
you can learn a lot in there too. You learn a lot of the business in there.
Yeah, it was something I look forward to so much. So sometimes I miss half the show because it was at certain points between fun photo shoots, but it was so relaxing and such a positive atmosphere. And then the other one that's selfish that would have been nice to be shown, but this is way before I think the documentary was thought about possibly, was the hard work, the late nights, staying up to what, 3 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, yeah.
Yeah, of us going back and forth editing and stuff. Like that part, not just all the people saying these lovely things, which is cool and all, but the actual visual struggle of it. Like I say that people, love people like to look at the book but don't like to read what's in the book. You know what I mean?
They like to look at the cover but don't want to read the book.
Thank you. That's what I say. Mm-hmm. So, because they think it's easy. When we read that book, man, like how many of y'all were ready to burn some of your youth? You know what I mean? Staying up late. You know what I mean? Messing up your eyeballs, messing up your back, ruining your health. Like stuff like that. That's deep. So that's definitely part of the that coincides very well with the damn title. You know what I mean? So it's anything. Those are my two.
And before because I want Jeff to say what he was going to say, I just want to say something about the health part too. Like, yeah, in the documentary, it does hit on like, yeah, I ballooned up to 193 pounds, and like, especially like, you know, the people on here that's in this roundtable, they know that, but like, yeah, my I don't think my health was in the best, and the stress levels was very high. I had a hospital visit and everything, and in all honesty, I really think if I would have tried to hang on for another year, something bad would have really happened. Like, I'm not gonna say death, but like, I don't know, it could have been something very, very bad health wise. And when you got to make those decisions, man, you know, I was like, you know, and I just said it. I was like, I got to get out of here, you know, and that's hard because you don't want to leave those girls, you don't want to do this, but I was like, bro, I'm gonna be like 220 pounds, you know, and you know, now look at me. I mean, I'm 130 pounds. You know, a healthy 130. Let me make sure I say that. A healthy 130 pounds. God damn it. You know,
Right.
I know it's a lot of people that be like, oh, I weigh more than you now. So what? You can't outrun me now. You
Yeah.
know, so see
Yeah.
me on the track. But
You
yeah, I
have
wanted to
a-
say that before you
I
said
was,
something, Jeff.
oh no, I was just saying you have a better chance now in the zombie apocalypse because you got
Mm-hmm.
better cardio.
Yep.
If you've ever seen Zombieland, now you know what's up.
Yep.
No, something on in your last breath there, you were talking about I guess not really being rewarded for like hard work or sometimes being the person who does 1,000 things, or maybe you help out everybody else and it just doesn't always pay off. And I mean, I can just speak to that. I'm sure Steffi can too. Like, it's not a business where good people always necessarily get the spots. It's kind of a business where the people who are the best at figuring out how to use the pieces around them to their advantage succeed the most. And some that doesn't always necessarily mean it's maliciously, but it's about
Mm-hmm.
using the pieces around you to get an advantage. And sometimes that's the photographer who takes amazing photos of you that now you're able to sell 8x10s and make a ton of money and pay your rent. Maybe that's utilizing the trainers that you have that are willing to work with you and drive and pick you up and take you to practice and so on and so forth. But um, yeah, it's just not a business where nice guys tend to ever finish first, you know?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, 100%. You know, that's why I look at like the Cesaros of the world as like heroes. You know, because when you see you know, a Cesaro of the world, or even like a Drew Gulak, or you know, whoever, you know, when you see people that you're like, oh my gosh, like look at what they did, and oh my, what do you mean they still talk to guys in the Indies and their friends? What? Their phone didn't magically get cut off in Florida? Like,
Yeah.
that gives you
Right,
hope.
right, right, right,
That's the
right.
stuff that gives you hope. So for me, like that's the stuff I look at. But yeah, you know, it's wrestling. That's the business of it, man. It sucks, but it's amazing all in one. So, but yeah,
And
you know, I love it.
What's that say?
for me, like I started at WSU when they were like 2 or 3 years into the business, when it was from its original owner. And like I saw the progression from Mick, who owned it, to the guy from Beyond, Drew, and
Yeah.
DJ owning it, to just DJ having it. So like I went through like this whole roller coaster of different, what am I doing in the business right now, because, or at least not in the business, but at WSU, because so and so wouldn't agree with so and so, and then they had to have a meeting. So what I was doing got changed 600 times around. But with Blake and I, we were friends outside the business as well. So he would not text me. We had Voxer. I don't even know if anybody even
Yeah.
uses that anymore. But like
Oh, it's
this,
still alive.
this voice text that we would use, and we would constantly be talking about not only like what direction that he thought we should go, but my input as well, which there's not a lot of people that actually do that. Like, hey, what's your idea for this? This is what I had in mind, but hey, maybe we could, change it around and make it a new direction and make something else work that might be even better. And you don't get that with people. And with Blake, it was like this magical thing where we just kind of like these ideas melted together that just became one, and it was amazing. And like he said, Jeff was saying, you know, not always the good people win, but like Blake had this way of making everything just better, no matter what the situation outside of that was. So like I would have a feud with somebody, maybe it wasn't going the way we wanted, but like he would have these ideas to make me more motivated to get back into what I was doing and not just going out there and doing it because that was my job at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now, you know, as we get ready bring this to a close, everybody just talk about, you know, maybe what was your one favorite thing that you saw when you watched, or what was the one thing that made you chuckle? Either one.
I'm glad Yolanda brought it up earlier when she said she reiterated that she thought Blake was a genius, because like her clip starts with he's a genius.
Oh, and she meant it too. That came from her soul.
That wasn't me. It was a clone
And
or a hologram. It wasn't me.
it's my
I
favorite
would never
part
say
of
such thing.
episode number 2. It's my favorite part of episode number 2. He's a genius. And then she just goes into why he's a genius. But just Yolanda's excitement that she brought to her her testimonial there was number one for me. Nah, I thought, I mean, so far everything has been really awesome. I've been just thrilled with the production of the whole thing. I think it's been produced really well. I love the music. I love the way it's edited. I love the way the intro's edited. Blake knows I'm a stickler for really clean work, being a graphic artist myself. He knows how long it takes me to finish a fucking logo for him, so he knows. He knows. So no, I've just been thrilled with the whole thing. I've just really been impressed with the production, especially.
Well, me, like I just
Oh, good.
watching it back, like I was a part of it. I'm not in the docuseries, but getting to look back and like I'm watching these things, like, you know, the segment with Kiera Hogan, like I'm like, I had many of those talks with Blake where like he's like, you know, I'm proud of what you did out there, and like it just brings back these memories that like maybe, you know, weren't in the forefront of my brain. So I'm like, oh man, I remember that, like moments like that. That's awesome, because he's like I said, he's a huge motivator when you're not feeling motivated at all. So to sit and watch like this memory that, you know, Kiera and him are having at that moment, it's just like, oh man, that brings back 100 different stories to me that I can remember. And like one of my favorite is just the Candyland photo shoot that he and I did. And he was just like, go be yourself. And I was like, oh, you're asking for problems with this, but it turned out amazing.
Oh, you just led Yolanda right in.
Oh, that sweet, sweet Candyland photo
That
shoot.
Candyland.
Hard on that photo.
Yeah.
That's an hour of conversation with that alone, that damn photo shoot. Probably one of the best things about being a part of WSU. Yeah. Yeah, I gotta go with Sozio. With just the whole production of it. I do enjoy the part where Blake says his piece, like, wait, what's the one, Blake, where you be like, I'm not satisfied with nothing.
The very first clip of the whole entire series, you know.
Yeah, while we getting bug spray and
yeah,
bitten by bugs.
Yeah,
Satisfied with shit.
Yeah, but it sticks out because that's him. That's him. Like, yeah, it is some cool cameos. I love seeing Mercedes Martinez and all that good stuff. Great excellence, speaks very well about you. But when the clips of when I said earlier of Blake dropping jewels, those pieces I like very much. I love when he the segments when he actually reiterates what happens. I think it then goes into the wrestlers or anybody. I guess it's discussing their experience in detail. It's just very, thought out, and it is very seamless. It's hip, it's fresh. I really do like it. I can't say nothing. Can't say no. I wasn't bad anyway, but I generally do enjoy it. I just do. I hate to say just the whole thing is dope, but it is. It really is. I mean, if you are a fan, like just a wrestling fan, you will get a kick seeing a lot of pro wrestlers that you're a fan of. That I will say that are either in ROH, WWE, AEW. A lot of awesome people. You will see a lot of awesome people that Blake has helped get them to where they are. And
That is key.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to say this too, because that's another thing I kind of wish it was in episode 2. Candyland is like the most memorable shoot for WSU. Oh my gosh, there was so much goddamn candy for that shoot. You know, I mean, it was everywhere. We did that at the arena. Every girl, you know, they did their thing. Like, I'll never forget, like, Sassy. I mean, she would, like, send the pictures, like, I'm going to put candy on all of this, bro. I'm going to do that. And, I mean, she was sending, like, step-by-step how she was going to do her costume. And all the other girls was like, we're doing this. And, I mean, we had, like, gummy bear controllers, all types of stuff. And, I mean, we had to take that shit home. You know,
we had to give it away. We had to give it away. We had to take it home.
You know,
I just want to say that bra that I sewed candy and glued candy on, I spent like maybe $50 on candy and like $10 on the bra at Walmart or something, but I sold it for $250 online.
Hell yeah!
Oh my god! See, there you go.
Also,
that's how you make the best out of it. But you know, I want to take this time, like, especially for like somebody like Stephie, right? Like I haven't seen Stephie in person in years now, but every time, whether it's in Twitter, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's in DM, whether it's whatever, it's always, even this, it's always like, you know, I know this is my friend, you know, and that's the good thing about wrestling. When you meet these people, like, all these people here I can go to and they can come to me about anything, you know, like before everything happened with the pandemic, like if I use Stephie again, and when we were talking, like, yeah, I'm sitting here really thinking like, all right, well, what's the best month I can go to Canada so I can finally see the kid, you know, like, and then PS, that just gives me an excuse to be in Canada, you know, and just a lot of things, like, you know, Jeff with his personal life, you know, been there since day one, you know, stuff. Well, not day one, but for a very, very goddamn long time. Goddamn.
Yeah.
You know, with you, Brian, with you, Yolanda, it's, you know, that's the stuff that I think about. And, you know, with the people that are in the stuff, even when I go back and watch it, there's a lot of things that it brings back those memories. And like you said, if you use that Kiera moment as one, like, you know, it's like, damn, I remember that. And then Stephanie's like, oh, I remember this. And then, like, I'll talk to, like, Anaya Barella, and she'll be like, oh, you remember this? I'm like, oh, my gosh. Like, that's the stuff that, you know, I'm glad that we're able to show. And, you know, we got, what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4 more episodes left. There's some happy ones, and there's some, you know, things that'll pull at the emotional strings. And I'm just glad that we can put 7 episodes together, finally tell this story, and you know, let's see what happens afterwards.
Yeah, it's been a journey, that's for sure.
Yeah,
we've gone through hard drives.
Yeah,
I even have a couple of them crash on me. We've gone through Dropbox, Mega NZs before Mega was infiltrated with bad stuff. So yeah, and then a pandemic. So we've literally finished this, just to kind of give y'all sort of background. We finished this via Zoom, where we would literally get on Zoom. Actually, we started editing it during the Super Bowl, and that was I think the last time we saw each other in person. So we were editing during the Super Bowl. Everybody knew the Chiefs was going to win, unfortunately. But we edited it via Zoom, and just like, okay, move this over here, move that over there, and let's try this, and I'm sitting there like, oh my gosh, what the hell?
Yeah, he's very meticulous, and I mean, shoot, you got to think like, I mean, like Jeff was saying earlier, we've been through 2 different logos that Jeff provided, name changes. We've probably recorded with even if you think about other people's cameras, probably like 8 different cameras, 3 different styles.
Yeah.
Who knows how many different locations? It's been a long time.
Androids, DSLRs, camcorders. We started with the T3i, and then my camera got stolen. Shoot with a T5i, different microphone styles, wired mics, wireless mics. Like I mentioned earlier, I can't wait till y'all get to see Blick's boxing footage. Seeing Blake inside a wrestling ring.
Yeah, man. Yeah, look.
Terrifying. That's terrifying.
I said terrifying.
Look, if I was 28 years old, I'd challenge Mayweather right now. That's all I'm gonna say.
You're like, I'm waiting for somebody to just hold up mitts. I'll mess somebody up.
Look, I got spring in my step still, especially New Blake.
If it was one thing I wish we could have got, would have been New Greg. So I'm excited to be able to get him on a panel because shout out to him. I mean, just he was like, okay, what you need, and shout out to everybody who literally, whenever I said, hey, can I get a quick word with you about this, that, and the other, everybody was happy to do it. Even people who I don't like were happy to do it. That's not too many people, maybe one in the documentary out of the whole thing. Yeah, just one. But people I don't like, when it came time to it, was happy and, just excited. And as a producer, and especially a journalist, when you're doing interviews, everybody isn't always happy. You think, some of the people who your favorite athletes, when they get a camera in their face, they're not happy, or they nice on camera, but behind the scenes, they're like, all right, what else? What do you want me to say? But nobody was like that when it came to this. So that made me happy. And shout out to our boy Hugh, who was, a lot of times I'm asking questions and he was getting the shot. So I can't wait for y'all to see it. If not, if you haven't seen the chat, you should have. But if not, youtube.com/BWaters Productions. And it's on the playlist. You can see episode 1, 2, and 3 right now. And this will come out shortly after we record this. So this Thursday will be episode 4. And Blake, you want to tell them what episode 4 is?
Episode 3 for people is The Photographer. So this is really in depth about me and the whole Blizz Photography brand and all that. And then we have Thursday, 7 p.m. is the chapter of The Person Behind the Scenes. So you'll get to learn more in depth of how I controlled 85 different jobs backstage. The good, the bad, and the ugly with that. But I love every minute of it because I love knowledge, because knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power, folks. There's nothing else we can say. Any final thoughts?
I would like to say I'm very happy that everybody could be a part of this. A quick story: when I brought it up to Stephie and I told her what this episode would be about, she's like, I got to get on it. I was like, okay, well, let me see. I know I got to get on it. No, make sure I'm on this one. Yolanda agrees to everything because as much as she doesn't want to admit it, she knows she loves me. So, she's like, oh yeah, I'll do it. Definitely. Don't let her tell you any different. And then Jeff, Jeff just being a man he is, he's another one where I was going to say, second.
I mean, like you also, I have like a lifetime of IOUs. I mean, you've answered the phone at 3 a.m. far too many times for me to not be able to just be able to jump on a podcast real quick,
Yeah. And with Jeff too, he's one of those ones where like every day I kind of hope he hits the lottery. Like, I'm like, come on, hit that lottery, Jeff. So as soon as he's like, oh my God, I got that 2.5 mil. I'm like, well, that's down to like 1.7 now.
This is gonna be me. Deleting. Goodbye. Bye, you guys.
Oh my gosh.
Bye, Yolanda. It was nice knowing
Mhm.
you.
Oh no!
Mhm. But see,
I'll
they,
get you some ostrich shoes
I
like
was
I
gonna
got.
say,
Ooh, see,
look,
I'll be happy giving them ostrich shoes.
and you also got to
Yeah.
remember too, Jeff. As soon as you
Yeah.
try to disappear, I can always hit your significant other up and be like, "Yo, where's your man at? Where's your man?"
Yeah. He's trying to duck me. He thinks he's slick, but he forgot
Yeah.
that you're not an asshole like he is.
Yeah, and you know damn well she'll be like, "Oh, he's right here. Hold on."
Yeah, we're in Idaho. No big deal.
Yeah, selling potatoes.
Yes,
But
indeed.
I also want to give some nice plugs, and you guys could talk about it yourselves too. But we have Sozio, who has his own podcast, Struggling with Sozio, and Sassy Stephie. She also started her own podcast too, Talking Sass. Let's do ladies first. So if you want to talk about that, go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I have Talking Sass. I have new episodes every Thursday. I've had 2 episodes so far. One was with current Impact Knockout Nevaeh, and then this week's was Allison Danger. And the week coming up is my first male guest. He's a ROH star, so I'm pretty excited about that. I always keep my guests on the hush, just so you're a little surprised when you get to watch the episode. But it's on YouTube and any podcast platform that you listen to your favorite podcast on. So give it a listen. Subscribe if you would, because I'm brand new at this, so I don't have a whole lot of subscribers yet.
Yes, indeed.
Mr. Sozio?
Oh, it's my turn. Yes. Yeah. Please check out Struggling with Sozio. I'm actually coming up on about a year now. It was probably about a month from now last year that I was interviewing Mr. Blake Thomas himself, aka Blizz, and the general gist of the show is it's just sort of one-on-one conversations, talking to some of my close friends about some of the hardest things that they've been through, how they overcame it, and then also kind of having a laugh along the way, sort of looking back at the hard times and making a few jokes and having some fun with it. Available on Podbean. I actually just started producing video to put on YouTube, so look up Struggling with Sozios on YouTube as well. And just like Steffi said, it's available on all the other podcast platforms or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Yolanda, you want to say anything? You want to promote?
Of course I do. Well, one, you look at listen to some sermons today, but because I have to confess, and it's all on video and proof. I do love you. I love you very much. That's why I root for you. I champion you. But that's too much nice talk. That was also a hologram. But anywho,
it was a clone.
Yeah. So, all right. Whoever decides to follow me, you can on me social medias, on Instagram, on the Twitters at gimmicks247 is with 1M. I design pro wrestling gear. If you don't know, for wrestlers, but my Twitter is also filled with lots of laughter. Because that brings me joy. So look at my cool stuff that I designed. Hit me up through my website. Don't try to speed and send me a DMs and all that, because you will look at it later. I pay for a website for you to go through and email me properly. There you go.
And she makes the best t-shirts. Like Blake said earlier, the Midwest Militia t-shirt was the best design I've ever seen in my life for a wrestling t-shirt, a t-shirt in general. It was just so badass. It was 3 women with heads on stakes, decapitation, but it was so beautifully done at the same time. Like, it's badass. So if you need any pro wrestlers that need designs for their, go to her as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Maybe you've seen her gear on WWE television. I don't know. Maybe
That's
you've
where
seen
I've
her-
seen it.
Maybe you've seen her resume on there.
Mhm. You know. A funny story too. Yolanda actually designed the very rare Blizz photography shirt too, and it's funny because it looked like it was actually modeled after Stephie as well. So I mean, damn, Stephie, your face is just everywhere, you know. But that's a very rare shirt, you know. You know, maybe one day we could bring that back or something like that. So yeah, I mean, she know what she's doing. She know what she's doing when it comes to that designer.
Yeah, she won't put herself over, so we got to do it for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm humble with it. I'm humble. This is about Blake. But when I do my documentary, the humble would be in the trash.
That's what friends do. Friends put friends over and help friends get opportunities. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining this first roundtable dedicated to hard work, episodes 1 and 2. Make sure you stay tuned as episodes after 3 or 4. We'll do another one of these, but make sure you get on over to youtube.com/BWaters Productions so that you can see this, and make sure you follow Blake at It's Blizz on all social media platforms. And folks, till next time, I'm Brian H. Waters. This has been an episode of Wrestling for the Culture. Make sure you subscribe to the Wrestling Realm on all social media platforms. Hit the subscribe button, turn the bell notifications on, and drop a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. Till the next time, folks, so long, everybody. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for this week's episode of Wrestling for the Culture. For more episodes or more content from the Wrestling Realm Network, hit the subscribe button down low. Make sure you turn on the bell for notifications. Till the next time, too sweet.